Welcome to the Global Thinking Academy module on Instructional Design. We ask that you open the link to the Instructional Design Activity Guide posted in Canvas as you participate in this module. Throughout this module, we would like for you to think critically about whether or not you use intentional teaching techniques to enhance the critical thinking of your learners. What kind of things do you include in the design of your courses and programs to enhance critical thinking? For this module, you will listen and view the presentation, complete readings or other assignments as instructed during the presentation, and complete the quiz. Our learning objectives for this module are to apply constructivism in developing a lesson related to food security or climate change, to create a lesson using the ADDIE Instructional Design model, and to write at least one instructional objective with the 4 parts, A, B, C, D, after hearing a presentation and using the handouts during an activity. Let's begin by exploring the concept of constructivism. Epistemology examines a way of knowing and how one can acquire knowledge. Constructivism suggests other learning theories fall short of capturing the complexity of human learning. Constructivists believe learning is more about the individual. So rather than discussing how knowledge is acquired, constructivists speak on how knowledge is constructed. People are active learners, and they develop knowledge for themselves. Knowledge is produced based on personal beliefs and experiences. Constructivism is frequently divided into one of 3 categories: cognitive constructivism, social constructivism, and radical constructivism. Cognitive constructivists purport that there is an accurate internalization and reconstruction or construction of an external reality that is knowable to an individual. Social constructivists describe truth as socially constructed and agreed upon rather than individual to the learner. Radical constructivists suggest knowledge is obtained by active cognizing by the learner and results in a mind developed by beliefs and experiences with the world. However, knowledge is not a representation of an external world, but constructions to that person. Moving beyond the philosophical explanation of how learning occurs or the beliefs of constructivist theorists, let's look at the constructivist learning environment. A constructivist would provide rich experiences that encourage learning. They would teach big concepts, provide multiple representations of reality, avoid oversimplification of instruction by representing the natural complexity of the world, focus on knowledge construction, not reproduction, present authentic tasks, contextualizing rather than abstracting instruction, provide real-world, case-based learning environments rather than predetermined instructional sequences. Additionally, constructivism fosters reflective practice and enables context and content-dependent knowledge construction. It supports collaborative construction of knowledge through social negotiation, not competition among learners for recognition. Take a few moments now to develop a list of the instructional implications for your courses. What are some practical implications related to constructivism? First, a constructivist would never lecture or just provide students with answers. They would structure a learning environment so that students construct their own understandings. They would provide instructional support that maximizes the learner's zone of proximal development and uses active learning strategies. They would also use social interaction and authentic assessments. Let's transition now into the instructional design process. What is instructional design? Imagine it as a funnel. We pour in knowledge, and what we hope comes out is learning. There are many instructional design models you can use, but we believe that the ADDIE model is fairly simple and complete. The first stage is analysis. Who are your learners? What is their prerequisite knowledge? What content will I cover for this audience in this given time frame? Once you know these things, you are better prepared to begin the design phase. One of the most important things you should do in this phase is to write specific and measurable learning objectives. The second D is for develop. These are the actual instructional materials you will use for your course. Videos, books, articles, activities, etc. Then you're ready for implementation, teaching your course or program. Evaluation is the last stage, but likely is something you will do throughout the process. The ADDIE model is drawn as a circle because each stage informs the others. For the Global Thinking Academy, we will ask for you to think of a topic related to food security or climate change with global implications. Do you have one in mind? Now let's go through the first two steps in the ADDIE model, analyze and design. What exactly is an instructional objective? It's simply a statement that proposes a change as a result of your instruction. What is not so simple is to write an objective with the level of specificity required to measure that change in learning. The ABCD'S of objectives. There is a formula or component parts, a little like learning your ABCs. A is for audience. B is the behavior expected of the learner expressed as an action verb. C are the conditions for the learning in terms of instructional materials presented or the learning environment. And D, the degree, such as how many, how fast, how well, or without accessing materials and the like. Think of it as the 4 tires on a car. You want to take the learner from where they are to where you want them to go. It is important to note that there are 3 domains of learning: cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Most of what we teach and assess is in the cognitive domain. But can you think of examples of content related to your subject area that would require a change in attitude or a specific skill? Please see the linked handouts in Canvas for developing objectives and writing objectives for more information. Really, the trickiest part of writing the objective is using action verbs that are specific rather than vague. Consider these examples. Which one is easier to measure? This diagram highlights the hierarchies of Bloom's cognitive domain of learning. The lowest level is remembering. This is often just memorization without any integration. Next is understanding. Students now might be able to make some sense out of the information to be able to explain or discuss. The next level is applying this information, perhaps to a new setting or situation. These 3 are the most common types of objectives used in a college classroom or extension program. However, if we want our learners to think critically, we must move into the higher domains of learning: creating, evaluating, and analyzing. Let's look at a simple example. Can you determine the 4 parts of a cognitive objective? Can you determine the 4 parts of an affective objective? Can you determine the 4 parts of a psychomotor objective? Now try this with the topic you plan to develop for the Global Thinking Academy. Take a few moments and watch the video posted on Canvas, Aiming Higher, Bloom and Vygotsky in the Classroom. Now let's tie some things together. We've talked about constructivism. We've looked at the ADDIE model of instructional design as a template. We now know the 4 parts to a learning objective that is specific and measurable, and we've introduced Bloom's taxonomy. So what do Bloom and Vygotsky have in common? And what does this have to do with the zone of proximal development? As we finish this module, think back to a recent class you've taught. Are your objectives and activities using knowledge and skills from a lower level to foster critical thinking?